designed to showcase the talented women who make up the Web3 ecosystem. Women in Web3 champions exceptional leaders across the international sector and the amazing sustainable work they do. By spotlighting the progress, impact, and innovation of talented women in Web3, this list hopes to inspire a new generation of diverse workers to join the emerging field and help shape the future of the web.
I'm Emily Rose Delara. I'm the founder and host of Web3 and Thrive podcast. I'm also a leadership and mindset coach in Web3. I'm a co-founder of Payant.io as well. I started out in marketing. So I was a marketing manager for, I don't know how many years before, in tech. And then I entered the Web3, crypto space then with Bitcoin.com. And that's when I went down the rabbit hole and stayed in Web3. And there's always been this kind of golden thread throughout my whole experience, which is helping other people thrive, elevating people, especially women, because we didn't have much of a voice back then. So I actually discovered Bitcoin when I was working in, this is so cliche, working in a Ubud in Bali, co-working, and they did a workshop on how to pay for your co-working in Bitcoin back in the day. This was 2015. And so I got sucked into it all, and I was very much on the humanitarian side and all the use cases. For example, I did a lot of work in Southeast Asia and Japan, helped with merchant onboarding, had my own e-commerce platform for women, in France we call them artisans, but women with small businesses who couldn't accept fiat cross-border, so they accepted crypto instead. So we set them all up. We created little jewelry that we used to give to all the women at conferences, so they knew that if they had this little necklace on, that we've got each other's back, because most of the time there was like no women there at all. And so yeah, this is what sucked me in, and then I ended up being a bit of an advocate for women in the space. When it comes to Web 2, we've got it pretty much all figured out, right? We've been doing it for many, many, many years. And I don't like to say the real world in Web 3. It's like, we've just created a completely new industry. We're babies. We don't know what we're doing. We have to learn. How many years? Is it 14 years now? We're teenagers, still figuring all this out, making mistakes. Whereas Web 2 are like the elders. They know what's going on, but they can shout as much as they want and tell us what to do. We have to experience it first. So I think we're in this experiencing transition phase. And Web 2, what they do really well is they have structure, they have HR, they have contracts, they have legals, they have expectations for workforces. People understand about boundaries, and they don't have this. If we focus on tech, for example, they are constantly innovating, but in like a sustained manner. Whereas with Web 3, it's bonkers. Like how it's like an industry that we've never known before. And so all these things that are happening all the time are impossible to keep up with, and nobody's come in. Well, I mean, it wouldn't ever be one person, but there's been no kind of guidelines in terms of what to expect from this space. We're not going to go in and change the space completely in terms of the way it operates. The scams, the rug pulls, all these things are very common terminology for us, but we can start to make little dents and maybe provide guidelines, maybe provide reports, maybe lead by example. Because it's a huge opportunity. So I would never have been in the roles I've been in Web 2. It would have been a much, much slower process. Like I was marketing, what was I? Head of marketing and product and social media, whatever. It was like in a bundle at Bitcoin.com. And that gave me the space to understand what I was really good at, but in a really short time, because people kept throwing opportunities at me, because it was rare to have a woman who was a marketing leader in the space. I got amazing opportunities and I earned more money than I ever thought possible. And I think that women should be able to have the opportunity easily. Because a lot of the awards, a lot of the conferences were a lot of white male faces for a long time. And I think by really having big companies like Near Foundation really highlighting that this is important and showcasing these women and why they're doing great things is a huge important step for the industry. One, to recognize what we're doing as women, and two, to show the rest of the world what we're doing and that we are creating more diversity and inclusion.